Mexico is a country whose identity is shaped by an extraordinary diversity of peoples, histories, and cultures. From ancient civilizations to modern cities, Mexico's population is a complex tapestry of indigenous communities, mestizos, Afro-Mexicans, Europeans, and immigrant groups from across the globe. Each group brings its own traditions, values, and stories, creating a cultural richness that draws people from near and far. The movement of people to Mexico, whether centuries ago or in modern times, has been influenced by opportunity, resilience, and the search for a place to call home. Today, the average house price in Mexico ranges widely depending on location, from $50,000 USD in smaller towns to $250,000 USD in urban areas like Mexico City, illustrating both affordability and the growing interest in living in this vibrant country. At the heart of Mexico's population are the mestizos, people of mixed indigenous and European heritage. Representing around 62% of the population, mestizos embody the blending of two worlds: the rich traditions of pre-Columbian civilizations and the influences of Spanish colonizers. Historically, the mestizo identity emerged during the 16th and 17th centuries as European settlers intermarried with indigenous peoples. This cultural synthesis is evident in Mexico's language, cuisine, music, and daily life. Spanish is the dominant language, yet many families still retain indigenous words, names, and customs. Mestizos have historically moved across regions seeking economic opportunity, from agricultural lands to growing urban centers, and continue to do so today. Many are drawn to cities like Guadalajara, Monterrey, and Mexico City, where employment prospects are stronger, education is more accessible, and cultural life thrives. Housing for mestizo families varies. Middle-class homes in urban neighborhoods average around $150,000 USD, while rural homes can cost as little as $40,000 USD, reflecting the broad spectrum of lifestyles among this majority group. Indigenous communities are the original inhabitants of Mexico, with thousands of years of history that predate the arrival of Europeans. They make up roughly 15% of the population and include groups such as the Nahua, Maya, Zapotec, Mixtec, and Otomi, each with their own language, customs, and social structures. Indigenous peoples historically lived in tightly knit communities, practicing agriculture, crafts, and rituals tied to the land. Colonization disrupted these societies, but many indigenous groups have preserved their traditions, blending them with modern practices. Migration patterns among indigenous peoples often involve moving to urban areas for education and employment while maintaining strong ties to ancestral lands. Many indigenous families invest in modest homes near city outskirts or retain traditional houses in villages, where property can cost between $20,000 and $60,000 United States dollars. The resilience of indigenous communities is also cultural. Festivals, ceremonies, and artisanal crafts continue to flourish, drawing both national and international attention. Afro-Mexicans, while often less visible in mainstream narratives, have contributed profoundly to Mexico's cultural and social fabric. Concentrated in coastal regions such as Costa Chica in Oaxaca and Guerrero, this community descends from Africans brought to Mexico during the colonial slave trade. Afro-Mexicans have maintained rich traditions through music, dance, and culinary arts. Despite historical marginalization, the community has fought for recognition, gaining official acknowledgement in the 2020 census. Migration among Afro-Mexicans is often motivated by economic opportunities, as younger generations move to urban centers or abroad while older generations preserve their community's heritage. Homes in Afro-Mexican regions are often modest, averaging $30,000 to $70,000 USD, reflecting local economic conditions. Festivals like the Danza de los Diablos showcase vibrant cultural expressions, revealing the community's resilience and the continued blending of African, indigenous, and European influences in Mexican society. European immigrants have shaped Mexico in more recent centuries, beginning in the mid-19th century with waves of Germans, Italians, French, and Spanish settlers seeking economic opportunity or fleeing political upheaval. These communities introduced new architectural styles, foods, and cultural traditions, enriching Mexico's regional identities. For instance, German settlers in Puebla and Veracruz contributed to local breweries, culinary traditions, and festivals. Italian immigrants influenced northern regions with masonry, cuisine, and commerce. These European communities often settled in concentrated towns or neighborhoods, maintaining aspects of their heritage while integrating into Mexican society. Housing within these areas ranges from historically preserved colonial-style homes costing around $180,000 USD in cities to modern suburban homes averaging $120,000 United States dollars. Europeans moved to Mexico for stability, land, and trade opportunities, and their descendants today continue to shape the country's economy, education systems, and cultural life. Mexico has also welcomed immigrant groups from Asia, the Middle East, and other parts of the world. Chinese immigrants arrived in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, often working in railroads, mining, and commerce, establishing communities in Baja California, Mexico City, and northern states. Lebanese immigrants brought trade networks and introduced culinary staples like tacos árabes and sweets, blending seamlessly into Mexico's gastronomy. Jewish communities from Europe found refuge in Mexico during periods of persecution, contributing to finance, education, and culture. These immigrant groups moved to Mexico seeking safety, opportunity, and freedom, building homes that reflected both their cultural heritage and local Mexican architecture. In urban centers, these homes typically cost between $120,000 and $250,000 USD, reflecting the desirable locations and modern amenities. Their continued presence has enriched Mexico's cosmopolitan identity, turning cities like Mexico City, Monterrey, and Guadalajara into true cultural mosaics. Migration within Mexico is not only about new arrivals. Internal migration is a defining factor of Mexican society. People move from rural areas to cities seeking employment, education, and healthcare. For example, families from Chiapas or Oaxaca often relocate to Mexico City or Guadalajara in search of better economic prospects. Urbanization has influenced housing trends, with apartments and suburban developments rising in metropolitan areas. The average price of a family home in Mexico City is around $200,000 USD, while smaller cities like Mérida offer homes for $80,000 to $120,000 USD. Despite challenges, internal migration has created a dynamic, interconnected society, with cultural traditions blending across regions while maintaining local identities. Mexico's cultural festivals reflect its ethnic diversity and the historical interactions among groups. Día de los Muertos, widely celebrated across the country, demonstrates mestizo integration of indigenous and Spanish Catholic traditions. Afro-Mexican communities preserve vibrant music and dance forms such as son jarocho and danzas africanas. European immigrant communities hold Oktoberfest celebrations, French-style carnivals, and Italian-inspired culinary events, while Middle Eastern communities maintain their festivals, food traditions, and religious observances. These celebrations are not only cultural expressions but also attract tourism and contribute to the economy, further motivating migration into culturally rich regions. Housing in these areas often accommodates festival activities, with larger lots in semi-urban areas costing between $100,000 and $150,000 USD to host gatherings comfortably. Education and economic opportunity remain major drivers for people moving to and within Mexico. Universities, trade schools, and employment hubs in cities like Mexico City, Monterrey, and Querétaro attract students and professionals nationwide. Many indigenous and Afro-Mexican families send younger members to cities for higher education, temporarily residing in rental homes averaging $300 to $800 USD per month. Meanwhile, immigrants from abroad often settle permanently, purchasing homes averaging $150,000 USD in suburban neighborhoods. The housing market reflects a diverse society. Historic neighborhoods maintain colonial-style homes at $200,000 USD or more. Modern developments provide options between $100,000 and $180,000 USD, and rural areas remain highly affordable, often under $50,000 United States dollars. This variation makes Mexico an attractive destination for both local and international migrants. The economy itself has shaped migration patterns, as industrial and service sectors in northern and central Mexico attract workers from southern states and abroad. Manufacturing hubs in Monterrey, Leon, and Querétaro employ thousands, while the tourism industry along the Riviera Maya draws seasonal and permanent residents. Many of these workers purchase or rent homes near their workplaces. In cities like Cancun, a typical home can cost around $130,000 USD, whereas temporary housing may range from $400 to $900 USD per month. Economic migration has created multi-ethnic neighborhoods where mestizos, indigenous peoples, Afro-Mexicans, and international immigrants coexist, exchanging cultural practices and building diverse communities. Healthcare, safety, and quality of life also influence migration. People move to Mexico for a lower cost of living and access to quality healthcare, especially retirees from the United States and Canada. These expatriates often settle in cities like San Miguel de Allende or Puerto Vallarta, purchasing homes in the $200,000 to $400,000 USD range. Their presence has brought further cultural exchange, integrating local customs with foreign lifestyles and creating a cosmopolitan demographic. Mexican communities have adapted to welcome these residents, fostering businesses, bilingual services, and cultural programs that promote inclusion and diversity. In conclusion, Mexico's ethnic diversity is the foundation of its national identity. Mestizos form the core, blending indigenous and European legacies. Indigenous communities preserve ancient wisdom. Afro-Mexicans maintain vibrant cultural expressions. European immigrants have contributed architecture, cuisine, and traditions, and other immigrant groups from Asia, the Middle East, and beyond enrich the nation's cosmopolitan identity. Migration, both internal and international, continues to shape housing trends, cultural landscapes, and social networks, creating dynamic communities across rural towns, urban centers, and coastal regions. Housing remains varied, reflecting affordability, lifestyle preferences, and cultural needs, with prices ranging from $20,000 USD in rural indigenous areas to $400,000 USD in expatriate enclaves. The story of Mexico is one of resilience, adaptation, and celebration of diversity, making it a nation where every person, regardless of origin, finds a place in its rich, colorful tapestry.